Everyone, it's Holly Ranking, and we are finally back with another dream. I'm sure so many people are so excited, but it has been a while. I finally figured out my webcam situation, which is awesome. What am I doing? I don't know, crazy things. But yeah, anyway, yeah, so I don't even remember where we left off, or what's happening, or what's going on, but you know what? There are all the other ones further on down the road that I have posted many times ago. So yeah, anyway, I'm just gonna go ahead and jump in and start. Don't remember where I am in the story, but it's gonna be fun anyway. Okay. Oh, and if you see an image in the background, that's just my husband's computer on. It's Ark. In case anyone's curious, it's Ark, the video game. Okay, anyway, so now I'm gonna go. Alright, we're on chapter 16, Roughing It. We're almost done with this too. I can't believe I stopped for so long. Okay. Helen awoke to hear crying. She opened her eyes and sat up in her bed. It was cushier than she remembered. She looked around her room in shock, skimming over her dollhouse and her assortment of stuffed animals. There was carpet on the floor, and she noticed her favorite quilt unmarked of any tears or cuts. Then she saw the crying form sitting at her desk. Helen gasped and reached for her lamp. But when she went to turn her lamp on, the light wouldn't work. Her stomach muscles tightened reflexively when she realized that this was a memory, a dream brought up by talking about her mother. She looked at her tiny hands and knew that this was the night that her father left. There wasn't anything she could do but watch the scene unfold and relive every bad moment of this night. "Mommy," she asked herself. She heard herself ask in a small voice, "Is that you?" "Shut up," her mother growled. "This is all your fault. How dare you sleep in this comfortable bed when he's gone?" "Who's gone, Mommy?" Helen felt the fear of her 5-year-old self. Her tiny body was shaking from it. "Don't be stupid. It was your plan all along." She could hear the huge, racking sobs that ran through her mother. "Daddy?" Helen slipped out of bed and went to the door, but he wasn't out there. "Don't play innocent. You know he's gone," her mother cried. She kept wiping out her tears, but more kept coming, making it impossible to stop the flow. "I don't understand, Mommy. Where's Daddy?" Helen knew what was about to happen next to brace herself mentally. Her older self closed her eyes and looked away. Her mother swung her hand out and slapped the little girl across her face. "Shut the hell up." "Mommy?" Helen held her tearful face in her hands. The older Helen was shaking with an effort to keep herself together. Little Helen was on the floor. The blow hadn't been strong enough to knock her over, but the shock had done the trick. Helen had never been hit before in her life, much less slapped by her own mother. "Why did you do that? Where's Daddy?" "You know where he is," the woman shrieked, grabbing the girl by her shoulders and shaking her. "Now bring him back, or I will kill you." Helen closed her mental eyes again, knowing what was happening to her. She also remembered how it felt to be told by her mother that she would be killed. The girl was looking at her mother in a newfound fear that she didn't understand. "I don't know where she is, or where he is," she cried. She was flung into her own dollhouse, making the plastic building break under her weight. Her mother left the room, slamming the door behind her. Little Helen carried her aching body to her bed to grab the blanket her parents had bought her when she was a baby, and crawled into the closet, closing the door behind her. She sobbed the rest of the night. Her world had been turned upside down in minutes, but that was just the beginning. "Helen, wake up." Helen awoke to John shaking her, but she was still in her sleeping state. She punched out like she did when her mother was shaking her, a defense that she learned to use as quickly as she could. She then went to kick him away before she clawed her way away from him. But a man is harder to be rid of than a woman. He was back grabbing her shoulder. "Helen, it's me. You're okay. You're safe." Helen blinked to see John close to her face. "Huh? What's going on?" She looked around her and remembered that she no longer lived in that hellhole. She no longer had to worry about dying every day that she awoke. "Oh my gosh," she gasped when she saw John's newly formed black eye. "Did I do that? I'm so sorry." "I warned him that he shouldn't wake you like that," Allison said mockingly. Helen glared at her. "Don't worry, I just told him that he shouldn't shake you the way he was shaking you." "Good." She turned back to John and touched his eye gently. "I am so sorry about that." She then hugged him tightly in relief, knowing that she had feared that she was stuck looking back at what had happened to her in the past. "It's okay," John said, with a crooked smile. "I should have listened to Allison. That's quite the right hook you got there." Helen let go of him to look him in the eye again. I had years of practice, Helen said back to him with a quirky smile. John? Yes? Could you let me go? Helen was referring to the fact that John was leaning over her, holding her close to his body, their faces inches apart. John turned bright red when she said that. Yes, of course. He quickly let go of her, and sat down away from her, thoroughly embarrassed. Helen stood to see the last of the rays of the day go down. It was time to start moving again. Helen smiled to herself. She suddenly felt very lucky to be where she was now, in the fresh, free air that wasn't home. Let's get a move on before they decide to sleep all night, too. Most of us are awake already, John said, glaring in Ellen's direction. The princess is refusing to get up for anyone. That's okay, Helen shouted, watching Ellen as she spoke. We can just leave without her if she wants to stay here. She'll be fine without us. Ellen jumped up immediately. She quickly approached Helen. You wouldn't dare, she said, making sure she was standing on her tippy toes, chest to chest with Helen. Well, now I don't have to. Helen smiled at the girl sweetly. Natalie, Reggie, go ahead and lead the way. The old man and woman began walking out of the clearing. Ellen grabbed Andrew by the arm and led him out right behind the old couple. Hey, Bert, how about you come out and join me? Allison asked, speaking directly to John. The spirit came out and led the way out of the clearing. John? Helen looked over at the young man. He was finding it hard to meet her gaze. You can't let this misunderstanding get in the way of the journey, so let's go, okay? Those seem to be mighty chummy lately, Helen said, watching Allison and Burke walk side by side with ease. My brother was always good at showing the girl he wanted that he wanted her, John said quietly. I thought you were done comparing yourself to him, Helen said, giving him a stern look. John smiled sheepishly at her. The two were farther behind the others again. What were you dreaming about? He asked Helen after a long silence. Do you really want to know? Helen asked. She thought about whether or not she should tell him about her past. John just gave her a that's why I asked look. I was dreaming about the night my father left again. When was that? You didn't tell me much before. The moon was bright that night. It shone down on the group beautifully. I was 5 years old. Helen said she looked at the ground and not wanting to feel the pain anymore. The pain again. I didn't even know he was gone until I heard my mother crying in my room. Why did he leave? Where did he go? John was in shock. He had never heard of a father leaving their family before. He knew he was hearing for a second time, but it still shocked him to hear it. It was even more surprising that she was only 5 years old when it happened. I don't know where he went. He never told me, Helen answered, the easier question first. It was easy to talk to John, but it was still difficult to talk about her past to anyone. I think he knew my mother had some kind of mental problem, or he thought she would become unstable soon and he didn't want to live with it anymore. So why didn't he take you with him? John was watching her face. It was eerily and emotional. I ask myself that every day of my life. Helen looked directly into John's eyes. He spotted a sadness that was barely noticeable in her eyes. Did she always have the look in her eye? They walked in silence for a little while longer. John didn't know what to say. He never knew that such a thing could happen to a child. He also was amazed at how well Helen carried herself. It didn't seem as though she was so badly scarred. Your world seems so cruel, he finally said. How does anyone live in it? Men cheating on women with their dearest friends, fathers leaving children with a crazy woman. It's not like that for everyone, John, Helen said, still sullen. Most people have 2 parents and many friends. I'm worst case scenario, and every world has its problems. Just look at yours, she said with a weary smile. She was trying to move on from the uncomfortableness that only bringing up her past could make. John smiled. That's true. He looked at her and knew she was making an effort from sharing such a dark secret. I'm so grateful that I'm here, though, Helen told him. I don't have to be strong anymore. I just can breathe easily, and I can actually smile without any repercussions. There was something else, John said with a smile. He felt as though he now could see the difference from when Helen felt like she was suffering and from when she was actually happy. You are very strong. Helen felt the strange movement of air through her lungs that meant she was laughing. It was such a delightful feeling, such a freeing feeling. The group stopped to eat for the night. They all huddled together for the fact that it was cold only when they stopped moving. How much longer until we're there? Helen whined. I don't know yet, dear, but each day we get closer, Natalie said reassuringly. John and Helen rolled their eyes. Helen's hands were freezing, and so John took the liberty of warming them and his for her. Don't worry about it too much, Natalie, Helen said, smiling. She'll complain no matter what you say, John said with a chuckle. Hey, how are you holding up? John had nudged Andrew with his elbow, making the young man jump in surprise. I'm fine, thank you. Andrew snapped. Oh, there was a snap. I'm fine, thank you. Andrew snapped, turning away from John. John looked over at Helen, who shrugged. I hope you haven't changed him into the gloomy type with all your excessive whining, John said to Ellen. We talk about interesting things that you wouldn't understand, Ellen said, sticking her nose up in the air. Yeah. You'd be amazed about what I would understand, John said to her. John, Helen warned the man, but she was ignored. She sighed, knowing that was what was going to happen next. Yeah? Ellen turned to face him. Helen started to inch away. She could already see a fight coming on. John didn't even notice that her hands had disappeared from his. What would you understand? A rock, perhaps? Ellen, I swear you just like hearing the air escape your flappy mouth. Flappy mouth, what? John stabbed back. I'd move away if I were you. They won't stop until one of them has the best insults, Helen told Reggie and his family. The four of them walked a little ways away from the two, ignoring the hurtful words they were spewing back and forth. There, this should be good. How long have you been traveling with those two? Andrew asked. Well, I think with John and Burke it's been maybe 3 months, Helen said thoughtfully, and 1 month with Ellen. I actually missed the fights between John and Burke. Why do they fight so much? Natalie asked, covering her mouth in concern, as she watched the two exchange insults. I don't know, Helen said, shrugging. I think they either get bored and it gives them something to do, or they both have very short fuses. I really do hope they make up soon. I wish to keep moving, Natalie said, a worried look on her face. Helen didn't think much of it, a passing thought that it might have been about the two fighting. Little did she know that there was more to the fog covering the ground around them. Don't worry, we'll be leaving shortly. I don't want Troy to catch up to us, Helen answered reassuringly. We finished the chapter. Yay! We are going to do chapter 17, Another Town, Another Fight, next time. As always, I do leave a place to buy this book in the description below, so if anyone is curious and would like it, they will have an opportunity to buy it. But yeah, anyway, hopefully I will see you guys next time. Bye!